See, God is a God who sometimes leads his people into storms. God is a God who sometimes leads his people into difficulties. And so here they are, they're going in the storm, they're following Jesus' command, and it almost seems like a setup. Like if you think, like it almost seems like a setup. Like, could Jesus forecast the weather? Like, I believe that he could, right? I mean, here's the creator of the universe. Like, with a word, he spoke into existence everything we know. He created the heavens and earth. He created the weather systems. He created all of these things. Surely he could predict and forecast the weather much better than our weather forecasters tend to do, right? Who come on there and say, well, there's a 50% chance of rain. Like, my coin could have told me that. And it's funny how I have this weather app on my phone, and it's hilarious because it'll be like 50% chance of rain. I'm like, thank you. I could have figured that out on my own. And then I look outside, and it's raining out, and then I look back, and then like a minute or two later, it says, rain, 100% chance. I'm like, wow. Thank you. Like I could have just looked out the window and got this information quicker than using this. But it's very difficult to predict the weather, especially in situations like this. But I guarantee you that Jesus had the capacity to know what the weather was when it was coming. Continuing, and let's go back to verse 37. But a fierce storm came up, and high waves are breaking into the boat, and it begins to fill with water. Verse 38, and Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. He's back there. He's just sleeping. He's just cuddled up there in the back of the boat. I don't know if he's sawing logs or not. I don't know if the Messiah did that. But he's back there sleeping. I know how it feels because he had just spent the day preaching. And for me, like after I preach a couple of times on Sunday, I go home and sometimes I'm sitting on the couch and we're doing something, we're hanging out, and before long, it's lights out for me. Like I'm down for the count because it's exhausting to be preaching even a couple of times, and he was preaching all day, so he's just back there, he's just snoozing on his pillow. I don't know if he brought the pillow. I don't know where the pillow came from. I'm sure, so somehow that pillow got there, and it was there, and it was probably a comfortable pillow because he is sleeping in the middle of the storm. And what does this say to us? What does this say to us today as followers of Jesus Christ? He says, it's okay to take naps when you're tired, okay? Man, that's good preaching there, right? It's okay to take some naps. Jesus did it. And so here he is, he's napping. He's taking a nap in the boat. He's sleeping through the storm. Maybe you can sleep through storms. Maybe you can't. I don't know. I mean, I remember once I was camping as a kid. I got all these crazy camping stories. And we were camping. I don't know how old I was, maybe 7, 8 years old. And apparently the people camping next to us decided to party like all night long. And then they were fighting and they're yelling and screaming all night long. They were doing this until eventually the park rangers called the cops. The cops come in, lights on, sirens blazing, come in, arrest everybody, take all their stuff, pack it up, and eject them from the campground. And I slept through the entire thing. Like, I did not hear a single peep. The next morning, I'm like, hey, where did the people camp next to us go? My parents are like, you didn't hear that? I'm like, no, I was asleep. Apparently, Jesus had this skill. I'm just following Jesus, with that. Jesus is there sleeping. He's sleeping with his head on the cushion. And the disciples woke him up shouting. They're shouting. They're terrified. These are seasoned sailors saying, I don't know what's going on, but let's wake up the carpenter. Maybe he'll know what to do. So they go over there and they wake him up and they says, look what they say here. They don't say, hey, will you help us? What's going on? They say, teacher, don't you care that we're gonna drown? Don't you care that we're gonna drown? I was wondering if they're fighting over that cushion, saying maybe that thing's gonna float if this thing goes down. I can just hold on for dear life. I don't know what was going on, but they said, don't you know that we're gonna drown? Don't you even care? Don't you care about me? If you cared about me, Jesus, you would do something about the situation that I'm in. Do we ever say this? Do we ever say this to God? God, if you cared about me, you would do something about this situation. Don't you care that I'm drowning? Don't you care that I'm drowning in debt? Don't you care that I'm drowning in this relationship? Don't you care that I'm drowning with all this homework? Don't you care that I'm drowning at work? Don't you care? If you cared, you would surely do something. But it's important for us to remember in your notes that just because God doesn't cater to you doesn't mean he doesn't care about you. See, some of us, we're expecting God to cater to me, and we think if he doesn't cater to me, he must not care about you. See, just because he doesn't cater to you doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. See, he still loves you, even though he may not do every single thing that you want. See, the storm had filled their minds so much. The storm filled their minds so much that it came between them and knowing that Jesus cared for them. See, they knew previously, they said, well, we assume that Jesus cares, but now the storm gets in the way and we don't think he cares anymore. We don't think, and not only did it make them think that he didn't care, it also caused them to lose sight of his word. See, didn't Jesus say, let's go to the other side of the lake? Like, didn't he say, let's go to the other side? He didn't say, hey guys, let's get together, let's go out and go fishing. He didn't say, hey, let's just go for a little cruise and maybe a storm will come up and maybe we'll all drown. Like, no, what did he say? He said, let's go to the other side. See, he was telling them in advance what he expected to do, what he wanted to do. Let's go to the other side. But not only did they doubt his love, they also were now doubting his word. Maybe he can't get us to the other side. Maybe he can't bring us where he said he was going to bring us. But it's important for us not to mistake inaction with indifference. Just because Jesus wasn't acting in the moment did not mean that he was indifferent to their needs. Don't you care, Jesus? Don't you care? And I followed Jesus for a long time. For nearly 40 years, I followed Jesus. And here's the thing, he doesn't do what I want him to do all the time. Like, he doesn't do everything I want him to do. He doesn't, because he has his will and his plan and his agenda. See, in your notes, God will fulfill his plans, but he doesn't always fulfill mine. God doesn't always fulfill mine. God will fulfill his purpose, but he doesn't always fulfill mine. And we need to realize that he is God and I am not. We need to realize that I follow Jesus. Jesus does not follow me. He is not my genie, but he is my God. And sometimes we get this backwards. We start to think, well, if God loved me, then he would do this for me. And if he doesn't do that, then he must not care about me. And we're expecting God to keep some kind of weird contract that we've come up with in our mind, but God never agreed to it. Well, you don't even care about me anymore.